Michael Schumacher was born on January 3, 1969, in the small town of Herth, nestled near the industrial heart of West Germany. It was a modest upbringing, far removed from the glamorous world of Formula One that would later define his life. His father, Rolf Schumacher, worked as a bricklayer, a job that required both grit and dedication, and his mother, Elizabeth, ran a local go-kart track, which would unwittingly shape the future of one of the greatest racers in history. The family lived humbly, with a working-class ethic ingrained in their daily lives, one that Michael absorbed from an early age. Rolf and Elizabeth were not wealthy, but they were resourceful. The kart track where Elizabeth worked became a second home to Michael, and it was here that he first felt the thrill of speed. His father, recognizing his son's natural fascination with racing, cobbled together Michael's first go-kart using discarded parts from old machines. It was a rudimentary vehicle with a small engine, but to young Michael, it was the gateway to a dream. His father's hands-on ingenuity and his mother's quiet support planted the seeds of Schumacher's racing obsession. Growing up, Schumacher's family was not fixated on luxury or status. Instead, they valued hard work, perseverance, and an unwavering dedication to one's craft. Rolf's blue-collar roots taught Michael that success was earned, not given. His parents rarely praised him for raw talent, rather, they encouraged him to focus on effort and practice. There was no shortcut to greatness, and Michael quickly internalized this mindset. The simplicity of their lives fostered in him a deep resilience, something that would serve him well as he navigated the cutthroat world of motorsports. His earliest lessons in competition and discipline came not from elite academies or polished racing circuits, but from the rough concrete tracks of his childhood, where he would race against older, more experienced drivers. Michael learned that winning was as much about patience and strategy as it was about speed. Losing, too, was a teacher. His father always reminded him that defeat was part of the process, a reminder that would become vital in the more brutal chapters of his racing career. Family wasn't just a support system, it was a team. Rolf and Elizabeth were there every step of the way, making sacrifices to ensure Michael had what he needed to pursue karting seriously. As his potential began to blossom, they would travel together to races, working tirelessly behind the scenes. His father would tweak and tune his kart, while his mother, in her quiet way, provided emotional balance. This sense of teamwork, of each person playing a crucial role, became a defining principle in Schumacher's life. Later, he would carry this understanding of collective effort into his relationships with his pit crews, engineers, and teams in Formula One. The Schumacher family wasn't chasing fame. They were chasing excellence. Michael's earliest experiences, rooted in simplicity and grounded by a family that valued work over glamour, gave him the mental framework that would become his hallmark: relentless discipline, a fierce competitive spirit, and an unbreakable will to succeed. Michael Schumacher's early years in Herth, Germany, were shaped by the gritty yet tight-knit community that surrounded him. Growing up in a working-class town, the young Schumacher was immersed in an environment where hard work and perseverance were valued above all else. It was a place where people built their lives brick by brick, much like his father, who worked as a construction laborer. Despite the town's industrial nature, there was a sense of quiet determination in the air, a spirit of resilience that Schumacher would carry with him throughout his life. Herth itself, with its narrow streets and proximity to coal mines, offered little glamour, but it did offer something far more critical to Schumacher's development: a go-kart track. This track, where his mother Elizabeth worked and his father Rolf often tinkered with engines, became Michael's playground. He spent hours there, first as a spectator, but soon as a participant. At just 4 years old, Schumacher climbed into his first kart, a makeshift contraption pieced together by his father using spare parts. Though rudimentary, it sparked a fire in the boy that would never be extinguished. The track, in many ways, became a second home. While other children in Herth might have spent their afternoons kicking soccer balls or riding bicycles, Schumacher was navigating corners at high speeds, mastering the delicate balance of control and risk. His early interest in karting grew naturally, not from the allure of fame or fortune, but from a pure love for the sport. Karting, for Schumacher, was freedom. It was a place where he could escape the limitations of small-town life and discover his own potential. Despite his early passion, the road ahead was far from easy. Karting was not a cheap hobby, and the Schumacher family, while supportive, had limited financial means. The young Michael often raced in second-hand karts, with his father continuously working to keep them running on a shoestring budget. But what they lacked in resources, they made up for with creativity and determination. Ralf Schumacher, with his practical skills and deep understanding of mechanics, ensured that Michael's karts were competitive, even if they were not the most expensive on the track. As Michael's skills sharpened, so too did his dreams. He began to imagine himself as a professional driver, but the reality of his circumstances presented constant challenges. His family could not afford the luxury of private training or the newest equipment, and he often found himself racing against competitors with far more financial backing. Yet, these early obstacles only hardened Schumacher's resolve. Instead of seeing his limitations as setbacks, he viewed them as opportunities to improve. He had to drive smarter, be more strategic, and push his talents to their limits to keep up with better-funded rivals. One pivotal moment in Schumacher's youth came when he won his first karting championship at the age of 6. That victory was not just a trophy, it was a signal to everyone around him that this small boy from Hearth had something special. It was also the first time Schumacher himself began to believe that his love for karting could lead somewhere beyond the confines of his small town. As he continued to race throughout his childhood, Schumacher's reputation grew within the karting community. Coaches and competitors alike began to notice his calm demeanor and exceptional focus, even at such a young age. He was not the loudest or most charismatic kid on the track, but his intensity spoke volumes. He developed an ability to read races, to understand the tactical elements that would later make him so formidable in Formula One. However, even as Schumacher began to taste success, his journey was not without setbacks. Racing in Germany required licenses, and at one point, when he had outgrown the junior level, he faced the challenge of needing a driver's license to compete in more advanced competitions. Undeterred, his parents found a creative solution, registering him in neighboring Luxembourg where the age requirements were less strict. This determination, shared by both Michael and his family, was emblematic of the sacrifices they made to keep his dreams alive. By the time Schumacher was a teenager, it was clear that racing was not just a hobby but a calling. The years spent on the dusty go-kart tracks of Hearth had honed his skills and, more importantly, forged his character. He learned not just how to win, but how to endure. Every challenge, from financial struggles to fierce competition, only served to deepen his commitment to the sport. In those formative years, Michael Schumacher's love for karting transformed into something larger, a relentless pursuit of excellence that would carry him far beyond the borders of Hearth, into the global arena of motorsport, where he would soon make his mark as one of the greatest drivers in history. Beneath the stoic, fiercely competitive exterior that Michael Schumacher presented to the world, there existed a deeply personal and often private side of his life, shaped by the relationships he cultivated both inside and outside the world of racing. Known for his intensity on the track, Schumacher's life off the circuit was defined by the people who supported and challenged him, from the unwavering love of his wife Karina to the heated rivalries that pushed him to the edge of greatness. One of the most significant relationships in Schumacher's life was his bond with his wife, Karina, whom he married in 1995. Karina, a former equestrian and model, was the quiet force behind Schumacher's success. Unlike the glitz and glamour that surrounded Formula One drivers, Karina preferred a life of modesty and privacy, and together they built a sanctuary away from the public eye. Their relationship was the anchor in Schumacher's whirlwind life, a place where he could escape the pressures of fame and racing. Karina's steady presence offered Schumacher emotional stability. She was his confidant and his strongest supporter, sharing in his triumphs and providing solace during his most challenging moments. Karina also played a pivotal role in Michael's ability to navigate the intense demands of his career. As Schumacher's fame soared, the couple built a close-knit family, with 2 children, Gina Maria and Mick. Fatherhood, for Schumacher, became a grounding force. Away from the racetrack, he was a devoted father who cherished his time with his family. Karina, meanwhile, took on the role of maintaining their household and managing the family's life, allowing Schumacher to focus entirely on his racing career. Their partnership was one built on trust and mutual respect, and Carina's influence kept Schumacher balanced, particularly in the later years when the demands of racing became increasingly exhausting. Professionally, Schumacher formed key relationships that helped shape his career, both for better and for worse. His early bond with Willy Weber, the German motorsport manager who guided him through the initial stages of his Formula One career, was instrumental. Weber saw in Schumacher the potential for greatness before the rest of the world did. As Schumacher's manager, Weber negotiated his crucial first contracts, including the landmark deal with Ferrari in 1996, which would become one of the most significant partnerships in motorsport history. Schumacher trusted Weber implicitly, and together, they navigated the complex world of sponsorships, media, and team negotiations, building the foundation for Schumacher's future dominance in Formula One. On the track, Schumacher's relationships with his teammates and competitors were more complex. One of the most famous rivalries of Schumacher's career was with his fellow Formula One driver, Mika Häkkinen. The two were fierce competitors during the late 1990s, with Häkkinen representing McLaren and Schumacher driving for Ferrari. Their battles on the racetrack were legendary, especially during the 1998 and 1999 seasons when they exchanged blows for the World Championship. Despite the intensity of their rivalry, Schumacher and Häkkinen shared a mutual respect, with Schumacher often praising Häkkinen's skills and professionalism. Unlike some of his other competitors, their rivalry never descended into personal animosity, and Schumacher appreciated the way Häkkinen pushed him to be better. However, not all of Schumacher's professional relationships were as respectful. His intense desire to win often led to moments of controversy, and one of the most infamous incidents in his career was his clash with Damon Hill during the 1994 Formula One season. In the final race of that season, Schumacher collided with Hill in a highly controversial move that allowed Schumacher to secure his first world championship by just 1 point. The incident was viewed by many as unsporting, and it ignited a fierce debate over Schumacher's aggressive driving style. Hill, for his part, considered the move a betrayal of fair play, and their relationship remained frosty for years. This incident marked the beginning of Schumacher's reputation as a driver who would go to any lengths to win, even if it meant skirting the boundaries of sportsmanship. Another contentious rivalry emerged with Jacques Villeneuve in 1997, when Schumacher once again found himself in the middle of controversy. During the season's final race in Jerez, Spain, Schumacher made a desperate attempt to block Villeneuve's overtaking move, resulting in a collision that ultimately cost him the championship. This time, Schumacher's actions backfired, as the FIA disqualified him from the championship standings. These moments cast a shadow over his otherwise stellar career, leading some to question his ethics on the track. Yet, for all the rivalries and moments of drama, Schumacher maintained deep bonds with those who shared his passion for racing. His long-standing relationship with Jean Todt, the former Ferrari team principal, was one of mutual admiration and respect. Together, they forged an almost unstoppable partnership during the early 2000s, leading Ferrari to an unprecedented era of dominance. Schumacher's success during this period was not just a personal achievement, it was a testament to the teamwork and trust he shared with Todt, as well as the engineers and mechanics who worked tirelessly behind the scenes. In the end, the personal side of Michael Schumacher's life was marked by relationships that both fueled his ambition and kept him grounded. His wife, Carina, provided him with a sense of purpose beyond racing, while his rivalries and professional bonds shaped the narrative of his legendary career. Schumacher's journey, full of emotional highs and dramatic lows, was inextricably tied to the people who walked beside him, both in victory and defeat. Michael Schumacher's rise to prominence in the high-octane world of Formula One was as swift as it was meteoric, a journey filled with breakthrough performances, key races, and moments that defined the future face of the sport. From his early days as a promising young driver to his first world championship, Schumacher's ascent was marked by a blend of natural talent, fierce determination, and the ability to seize opportunities when they mattered most. Schumacher's first big break came in 1991, a pivotal year for the young German who, at just 22, was relatively unknown outside of the karting and junior racing circuits. At the time, he was competing in the World Sports Car Championship, where his impressive performances caught the attention of motorsport insiders. However, it was a twist of fate that thrust him into Formula One. When Jordan Grand Prix's lead driver, Bertrand Gachet, was unexpectedly jailed just before the Belgian Grand Prix, the team needed a last-minute replacement. Schumacher, with minimal experience in Formula One, was offered the chance to step in, largely thanks to his manager, Willy Webber, who convinced team boss Eddie Jordan that Schumacher knew the circuit well, though in reality, he had never raced there before. Schumacher's debut at Spa-Francorchamps was nothing short of sensational. Driving a Jordan 191, a car far from the top of the grid in terms of performance, Schumacher shocked everyone by qualifying 7th. While his race was cut short by a clutch failure on the first lap, his performance in qualifying alone was enough to turn heads. His precision, speed, and composure behind the wheel, on one of the most challenging tracks in Formula One, made it clear that Schumacher was no ordinary rookie. It was his first critical moment, the spark that would light the flame of his future dominance. That single weekend at Spa changed Schumacher's trajectory forever. The brilliance he showed caught the eye of Flavio Briatore, the charismatic and ambitious boss of Benetton Formula, who immediately signed Schumacher to his team. Schumacher's move to Benetton would prove to be a masterstroke. By 1992, Schumacher had already claimed his first podium finish at the Mexican Grand Prix, and by the following year, he secured his maiden victory at the 1992 Belgian Grand Prix, fittingly, at the very circuit where he had made his debut the year before. This win was a defining moment, not just because it was his first triumph, but because it showcased his mastery of wet conditions, earning him a reputation as one of the sport's greatest wet-weather drivers. Schumacher's climb to stardom was swift, but it was not without challenges. In 1994, the motorsport world was shaken by tragedy when Ayrton Senna, the reigning champion and Schumacher's fiercest competitor, was killed in a crash during the San Marino Grand Prix. The incident cast a shadow over the season, but it also opened a path for Schumacher, who had been leading the championship. That year, Schumacher faced a new level of pressure, competing not only with the ghosts of Senna's legacy but also against fierce rivals like Damon Hill. The 1994 season became a tense battle between Schumacher and Hill, culminating in a controversial collision at the final race in Adelaide. Schumacher's car, damaged after a mistake, collided with Hill's as he attempted to overtake. The crash took both drivers out of the race, handing Schumacher his first world championship by a single point. The victory in 1994 was both a triumph and a turning point. Schumacher had established himself as a world champion, but the controversial manner in which he clinched the title fueled debate about his aggressive driving style. Critics accused him of ruthlessness, while supporters admired his win-at-all-costs mentality. Either way, Schumacher was now a force to be reckoned with. The following year, Schumacher's dominance continued. Despite stiff competition from Hill and Williams, Schumacher managed to secure back-to-back titles, winning his second world championship in 1995. This season saw Schumacher's technical brilliance come to the fore as he mastered the complex interplay between driver and machine, guiding his Benetton Ford car to victory with a blend of precision, strategy, and unshakable focus. His performance at the 1995 Belgian Grand Prix was particularly iconic. Starting 16th on the grid, Schumacher carved his way through the field in difficult wet-dry conditions to take a spectacular win, further cementing his reputation as one of the best in unpredictable weather. In 1996, Schumacher made the bold decision to leave Benetton, where he had found so much success, and joined Ferrari, a team that had not won a world championship since 1979. It was a move that raised eyebrows across the paddock. Why leave a winning team for a struggling one? But Schumacher saw potential in Ferrari, and the challenge of restoring the iconic team to glory appealed to his competitive spirit. His first season with Ferrari was challenging, as the car was not yet a match for the dominant Williams-Renault team. But Schumacher's incredible drive at the 1996 Spanish Grand Prix, where he won in torrential rain by over 45 seconds, showed that even with an inferior car, his talent was unmatched. It was another pivotal moment in Schumacher's career, one that proved he could make the impossible happen. The rebuilding of Ferrari would take time, but Schumacher's relentless determination and leadership, combined with the strategic expertise of team principal Jean Todt and technical director Ross Brawn, began to pay off. By 2000, the long-awaited breakthrough came. Schumacher won his third world championship and delivered Ferrari its first driver's title in over 2 decades. It was a moment of vindication for Schumacher, who had gambled his career on Ferrari's potential. Over the next 4 years, Schumacher and Ferrari would dominate the sport in a way that had never been seen before, winning 5 consecutive titles from 2000 to 2004 and setting records that still stand today. Schumacher's rise to fame was not just about speed or talent, it was about his ability to thrive under pressure, to rise above adversity, and to push himself and his team beyond their limits. He became the face of Formula One not only because of his victories, but because of the moments of brilliance, controversy, and perseverance that defined his journey. From his breakthrough in Belgium to his transformation of Ferrari, Schumacher's story became one of legend, a testament to what can be achieved when talent, hard work, and ambition collide on the world's greatest stage. Michael Schumacher's racing career was a story of extraordinary highs, where he became the most dominant driver in the history of Formula One, and humbling lows, where even his remarkable talent could not overcome the challenges he faced. His years at Ferrari saw him ascend to legendary status, but his return to Formula One with Mercedes was marked by struggles that tested his perseverance and legacy. Throughout these peaks and valleys, Schumacher's response to setbacks, controversies, and personal challenges revealed the complexity of a champion who was both admired and criticized for his relentless pursuit of victory. Schumacher's time at Ferrari from 1996 to 2006 represents the pinnacle of his career. After joining the struggling team in 1996, Schumacher faced early setbacks, as Ferrari had not won a world championship since 1979. In his first few seasons, the Ferrari cars were unreliable, and Schumacher often found himself battling technical failures and an uncompetitive car. However, these early challenges were where Schumacher's work ethic, determination, and leadership shone. He helped transform Ferrari from a team in disarray into a powerhouse of Formula One, fostering a culture of unity, precision, and resilience. The 2000 season marked a turning point. After years of near misses, Schumacher finally delivered Ferrari its first world championship in over 2 decades. That triumph at the Japanese Grand Prix, where Schumacher clinched the title, was an emotional moment, not just for him but for Ferrari's long-suffering fans. Schumacher's partnership with Jean Todt, Ross Brawn, and Rory Byrne created an unstoppable force, as Ferrari dominated the sport for the next 5 years. Between 2000 and 2004, Schumacher won 5 consecutive world championships, breaking numerous records along the way, including most wins in a single season, 13 in 2004, and most career victories, surpassing Alain Prost's previous record. During these years, Schumacher was almost untouchable. His ability to extract the maximum from the car, his strategic brilliance, and his skill in wet conditions made him a dominant force. His success was not just about speed, it was about his mental toughness and meticulous preparation. He could read a race like no other, often outsmarting his rivals with clever tactics and an ability to adapt mid-race. His relationship with the Ferrari team was symbiotic. Schumacher's leadership elevated the team, and in return, Ferrari built cars that allowed him to showcase his full potential. However, Schumacher's dominance also came with controversy. His aggressive driving style, particularly in moments of high pressure, often pushed the limits of sportsmanship. The most infamous incident came during the 1997 season, when Schumacher collided with Jacques Villeneuve in the final race of the year at Jerez. In an attempt to defend his championship lead, Schumacher turned into Villeneuve's car as the Canadian tried to pass him. The move backfired, as Villeneuve went on to win the championship, and Schumacher was disqualified from the season standings for unsporting behavior. This episode severely tarnished Schumacher's reputation, with many critics labeling him ruthless and willing to sacrifice fair play in his quest for victory. There were other controversial moments throughout his career, such as his collision with Damon Hill in 1994 and his infamous maneuver in qualifying for the 2006 Monaco Grand Prix, where he deliberately stopped his car on track to prevent rival Fernando Alonso from setting a faster time. These incidents led to a complex public image. While Schumacher was admired for his unparalleled talent and success, he was also viewed by some as a driver who would cross ethical lines in pursuit of a win. By 2005 and 2006, Schumacher's dominance began to fade. New technical regulations and the rise of younger talents like Fernando Alonso shifted the balance of power. Ferrari struggled to adapt to the new rules, and Schumacher's reign came to an end. The 2006 season, his last before his initial retirement, was filled with ups and downs. He fought valiantly for the championship, but a rear engine failure in Japan effectively ended his title hopes, and he announced his retirement at the end of the season. Although he left the sport as a 7-time world champion, Schumacher's final races were bittersweet, with moments of brilliance but also the frustration of knowing his era of dominance was over. Schumacher's retirement in 2006 was supposed to be the end of his racing story. However, in 2010, he made a surprise comeback with Mercedes, a decision that would define the second, more difficult phase of his career. Unlike his time at Ferrari, Schumacher's stint at Mercedes was marked by struggle. The Mercedes team, while showing promise, was not competitive enough to challenge the top teams. Schumacher, now in his 40s, found himself racing in the midfield, far from the glory of his Ferrari days. During these 3 seasons, 2010 to 2012, Schumacher faced numerous challenges. His reflexes and precision, once unmatched, appeared diminished, and he often found himself outperformed by his younger teammate, Nico Rosberg. Mechanical issues, crashes, and the grueling nature of modern Formula One took their toll. One of the lowest points came in 2012 at the Spanish Grand Prix, where Schumacher, frustrated by his car's lack of performance, collided with Bruno Senna, earning a penalty and further damaging his confidence. While there were flashes of his old brilliance, such as his fastest lap at the 2012 Monaco Grand Prix qualifying, which briefly put him on pole, these moments were few and far between. Despite the difficulties, Schumacher's return was not entirely about winning. It was also about his love for racing and his desire to help Mercedes grow into a championship contending team. His experience, feedback, and leadership laid the foundation for the team's future success, though Schumacher himself did not reap the rewards. Mercedes would go on to dominate Formula One in the years following his second retirement, a dominance many believe was built, in part, on the work Schumacher did during those difficult seasons. Schumacher's handling of setbacks during his Mercedes years showed a different side of the man who once dominated the sport. He accepted his limitations with grace, rarely making excuses and always emphasizing the importance of teamwork. For a driver who had spent so much of his career at the top, the transition to midfield battles was humbling, but Schumacher never lost his passion for the sport. His return also endeared him to a new generation of fans who admired his resilience and dedication, even in the face of adversity. In the end, Schumacher's legacy was not just defined by his records or his controversial moments, but by his unwavering commitment to excellence. His ability to rise after setbacks, whether from mechanical failures, personal controversies, or the inevitable decline that comes with age, cemented his place as one of the greatest drivers in Formula One history. Though his second stint in the sport did not add to his trophy cabinet, it showed that Schumacher's love for racing ran deeper than just winning. For him, the sport was a lifelong passion, one that he pursued with unrelenting intensity, whether he was standing on the top step of the podium or fighting in the shadows of his former glory. The pinnacle of Michael Schumacher's career came in 2004, a year that would not only etch his name in the annals of motorsport but would also redefine what it meant to be a champion. After years of rewriting the record books, Schumacher achieved the crowning glory of his career by securing his 7th Formula One World Championship, a feat that, at the time, seemed unthinkable. This triumph in 2004 was more than just another title. It was a moment of pure mastery, where Schumacher, Ferrari, and the sport itself reached a zenith. The 2004 season was a display of utter dominance. From the very first race in Australia, it was clear that Schumacher and Ferrari were operating on a different level. Armed with the Ferrari F2004, One of the most technically advanced and fastest cars ever built, Schumacher seemed unstoppable. He won 12 of the first 13 races of the season, securing his 7th title at the Belgian Grand Prix, the same circuit where his Formula One journey had begun in 1991. The victory in Belgium was significant. Not only did it seal the championship with 4 races to spare, but it was also at Spa-Francorchamps, a track that had always held special meaning for Schumacher. It was where he had made his debut, won his first race, and now cemented his place as the most successful driver in the history of the sport. For Schumacher, the emotions surrounding his 7th championship were complex. He had already surpassed the previous record of 5 world championships held by Juan Manuel Fangio, a figure revered in Formula One. To claim a 7th title was something Schumacher himself could hardly have imagined when he first sat in a Formula One car. The magnitude of the achievement hit him hard. It was a moment of deep personal fulfillment, a culmination of years of hard work, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit of perfection. But for Schumacher, it was never just about individual glory. After the race at Spa, he spoke of the teamwork and unity that had made his success possible, praising Ferrari for giving him the platform to thrive. Ferrari's reaction to the 7th title was one of overwhelming joy and relief. The team had endured 2 decades of frustration and near misses before Schumacher joined in 1996. His arrival had sparked a transformation within the organization, leading to an era of unprecedented dominance. Winning this 7th championship was the crowning moment of Ferrari's resurgence, a testament to the years of development, technical precision, and unwavering belief in Schumacher's ability to lead them to greatness. Jean Todt, Ross Brawn, and the entire Ferrari team were instrumental in creating a dynasty, and Schumacher's 7th title was a shared triumph. The sense of unity between Schumacher and his team was palpable. They were not just colleagues, but a family that had achieved the impossible together. For Schumacher's fans, his 7th championship was both exhilarating and awe-inspiring. He had transcended the sport, becoming more than just a driver. He was an icon, a living legend. Fans from around the world watched in awe as he continued to push the boundaries of what was thought possible in Formula One. His ability to deliver under pressure, his precision on the track, and his almost mechanical consistency in winning races endeared him to millions. To see Schumacher claim a 7th title was to witness greatness in its purest form. His dominance, while polarizing to some, only further cemented his status as the most extraordinary talent the sport had ever seen. However, this moment of triumph was not without introspection. Schumacher, always humble despite his achievements, was acutely aware of the weight of history. While he celebrated with his team, there was a sense that this 7th title marked the beginning of the end of his era of dominance. He had achieved everything he set out to do, and more. The 2004 season was not just a victory lap, it was the final chapter of a period in Formula One that belonged entirely to Schumacher. What made this 7th championship so special was not just the numbers, though they were staggering: 13 wins in a single season, 148 points, and dominance that often made his rivals seem powerless, but the sheer significance of the achievement. Schumacher had elevated himself to a level of greatness that few athletes in any sport ever reach. He had redefined what it meant to be a champion, not just through his victories, but through his work ethic, his dedication to his craft, and his ability to inspire those around him. Even his rivals, many of whom had been frustrated by his dominance, could not help but admire the skill and determination that had brought him to this moment. For the sport of Formula One, Schumacher's 7th championship was a watershed moment. It represented the culmination of an era dominated by one man, a driver who had set the standard for excellence. He had brought new fans to the sport, inspired future generations of drivers, and pushed the boundaries of what was possible on the track. His legacy, already secured by his previous championships, was now untouchable. Schumacher had become synonymous with Formula One, his name etched alongside the greatest athletes in history, transcending the boundaries of motorsport. In the end, Michael Schumacher's 7th World Championship was not just the pinnacle of his career, it was the ultimate expression of his life's work. It represented the zenith of his collaboration with Ferrari, his unmatched skill as a driver, and his unrelenting pursuit of perfection. As he stood on the podium at Spa, with the cheers of fans echoing around him and the enormity of his achievement sinking in, Schumacher had not only reached the top of the mountain, he had created a legacy that would stand for decades to come. It was a moment of triumph that solidified his place as the greatest Formula One driver the world had ever seen. Michael Schumacher's first retirement from Formula One at the end of the 2006 season marked the end of a golden era for the sport. After dominating for years, the decision to step away came as a shock to fans and colleagues alike. Yet, for Schumacher, the decision was both pragmatic and deeply personal. He had achieved everything he set out to do, from winning a record 7 world championships to breaking nearly every significant record in the sport. His 2006 season, while competitive, had signaled the beginning of a generational shift. Fernando Alonso, young and hungry, had emerged as a new force, winning back-to-back titles in 2005 and 2006. Ferrari, too, was undergoing changes, with Felipe Massa and Kimi Räikkönen poised to lead the team into a new chapter. Schumacher's retirement was not just about stepping aside for younger talent, it was also about self-reflection. He had been racing at the highest level for over a decade and a half, and the physical and mental toll of the sport was beginning to weigh on him. In his final race in Brazil, Schumacher put in a remarkable performance, climbing from the back of the grid to finish fourth, a testament to his enduring talent. But even as he fought to the end, Schumacher knew it was time to step away. His farewell was emotional, marked by both celebration and sadness, as fans around the world realized they were witnessing the end of an era. Stepping away from Formula One was not easy for Schumacher. Racing had been his life since childhood, and the transition to a quieter existence was challenging. He took on a new role as a consultant for Ferrari, staying connected to the sport that had defined him. Away from the track, Schumacher found joy in his family life, devoting more time to his wife Karina and their 2 children, Gina Maria and Mick. He also pursued other passions, such as motorcycling and skiing, enjoying the freedom to explore new challenges without the pressures of racing. But the pull of Formula One never truly left Schumacher. In 2009, after Felipe Massa suffered a life-threatening accident, Ferrari asked Schumacher to consider a temporary comeback. While the return didn't materialize due to a neck injury, it reignited his competitive spirit. The following year, the unthinkable happened. Schumacher announced his full-time return to Formula One with Mercedes for the 2010 season. Schumacher's comeback with Mercedes was meant to be a triumphant second chapter, a chance to mentor young drivers like Nico Rosberg and help Mercedes grow into a powerhouse team. However, it quickly became clear that Schumacher's return would not mirror the dominance of his Ferrari years. Mercedes, still in its infancy as a Formula One team, struggled to compete with the likes of Red Bull, McLaren, and Ferrari. Schumacher, now in his 40s, found himself racing in the midfield, far from the glory he once commanded. His reflexes, once razor-sharp, seemed slower, and he was often outperformed by his younger teammate Rosberg. The struggles were compounded by mechanical failures and on-track incidents that left Schumacher frustrated. One of the lowest moments came in the 2012 Spanish Grand Prix, where a collision with Bruno Senna earned him a grid penalty, leading to criticism that Schumacher was no longer the driver he once was. Despite these challenges, Schumacher never lost his love for racing. He remained a consummate professional, always working hard, always striving for improvement, and always loyal to his team. There were still flashes of brilliance, like his fastest qualifying lap at the 2012 Monaco Grand Prix, which briefly placed him on pole position, though a penalty relegated him down the grid. These moments reminded the world of his extraordinary talent, but they were rare. Schumacher's return with Mercedes was ultimately not about reclaiming his former glory, but about the passion for racing and the joy of being back on the track, even if victory eluded him. By the end of the 2012 season, Schumacher made the decision to retire for good. His second retirement was quieter, less dramatic than the first, but it came with the satisfaction of having helped lay the groundwork for Mercedes' future dominance. Though he didn't win races with the team, his experience and input were invaluable in shaping Mercedes' rise to the top of Formula One in the years that followed. When Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes began their reign of dominance from 2014 onward, many within the team credited Schumacher with helping set the foundation for their success. After his final retirement, Schumacher embraced life outside of Formula One. He remained close to the sport, watching races and advising his son, Mick, who was beginning his own journey in motorsport. Schumacher found peace in his family life, often retreating to his private estate in Switzerland, where he enjoyed skiing, horseback riding, and spending time with his loved ones. Tragically, Schumacher's life took a devastating turn on December 29, 2013. While skiing with his family in the French Alps, he suffered a severe head injury after falling and striking a rock. The accident left him in a coma, and though he eventually emerged from it, Schumacher's life would never be the same. His condition became a closely guarded secret, with his family fiercely protecting his privacy. Very little is known about his recovery, but it is clear that Schumacher's life after the accident has been marked by profound challenges. The news of Schumacher's accident sent shockwaves through the motorsport world. For many fans, it was a cruel irony that a man who had spent years defying danger on the racetrack would suffer such a fate in a seemingly routine skiing accident. The outpouring of support from fans, drivers, and the entire Formula One community was immense. Schumacher's legacy, already secure, took on a new, almost mythic dimension as his story became one of resilience, love, and the fragile nature of life. Even as Schumacher battles the effects of his accident, his legacy continues to inspire. His son, Mick, now competes in Formula One, carrying the Schumacher name and the weight of his father's legacy into a new era. Mick's journey in motorsport is a tribute to Michael's influence, and fans around the world continue to rally behind the Schumacher family, holding on to hope and admiration for the man who once seemed invincible. Schumacher's impact on Formula One extends far beyond his records and championships. He revolutionized the way drivers approached the sport, bringing an unparalleled work ethic, technical knowledge, and dedication to physical fitness that set new standards for excellence. His ability to unite a team, to push the boundaries of what was possible, and to endure through triumph and tragedy solidified his place as one of the greatest sports figures of all time. Though his personal story took a tragic turn, Michael Schumacher remains a symbol of determination, resilience, and greatness. His legacy is not just in the titles he won, but in the way he changed the sport, inspired future generations of drivers, and demonstrated what it means to be a champion, both on and off the track. For fans, drivers, and the sport itself, Schumacher's influence will endure for decades to come, a testament to a life lived at the absolute limits of human potential.